Hi everybody, this is Joe Protexter from Siouxland Golf Lessons. In today's video, I'm going to show you the basics of how to do chipping, and then we're going to go through a more deep dive. So stick around if you want to see the explanation. Now, if you're just here to go over a review from the lesson, the first step is we're going to take the ball and put it on the inside of that front foot, and then we're going to take about a 7 to 10 inch gap between our feet. Next, we're going to take our weight and we're going to bump it forward about 75% onto that front leg. And then we're going to take our hands for the last step and we're going to simply just push them forward so that the butt of the handle sticks out right at this hip. It doesn't have to exceed past the hip there. From here, everything from the shoulders down is going to move as one piece, and basically my body is going to do all of the work from this point on. No hands, no arms, just body, and then we're going to commit to hitting down into the ground a little bit. And if you can do those steps, you're going to be able to pop the ball up nicely, land it softly on the green, and have a somewhat controlled rollout. If you want to stick around for the second portion where I go into depth of why we're doing all of these steps, please stick around. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video. So when we're chipping, the thing that we're trying to control is the low spot in the golf swing. And we're trying to do this with all golf swings technically, but it's most important with chipping to be really on point with this. Now, the way to best explain this is to talk about two pendulum motions that happen in the golf swing. When we're rotating, our shoulders and upper torso are doing the rotation. And what ends up happening is there essentially becomes a pendulum that would get created from right here at our collarbones. And you can see that when I turn my body, it would go up, we turn down, it goes to the bottom and reaches its lowest point. And then as I continue to turn, it would go back up. Now, when you watch golf on TV and you see them take a big divot out of the ground, that divot is happening after the ball is struck. And that indicates where the lowest point again in the swing is. So what we're trying to do is control where that low point is. So for a chip that we want to pop up in the air, what we're going to do is we're going to commit to taking the ball and putting it off that inside front foot, and then again just a little bit of a stance, basically shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more narrow. It doesn't really matter too much. You just don't want it too wide, because then what ends up happening is the low point gets really far behind, and now you have to start doing way more excess movement than is necessary. The next part, is to lean that weight over to the left. And that essentially does two things for us. It artificially moves the low point over to the left-hand side there, and now you can see that it's basically on top of the ball or slightly out in front of it, which is good. But the other thing that it does, getting the weight over to that front left leg, is that now the whole entire golf swing is going to rotate around that front hip, versus if I was in the middle or on the back, where then my body would try to go away because this would be the pivot point there. It's a mistake I see a lot of players make, so just make sure, again, the weight's on that front leg. Then the last part here is controlling that second pivot point, and that's in your hands. Now this one's a little bit more tricky because obviously the hands move through the swing, but you're trying to basically control this motion right here. And then you're trying to push the hands forward because you can see it creates a little bit of a downward pattern into the ball there. So again, going through the whole step, ball off the inside front foot, weight forward to get that big pendulum out in front, and then we're going to take our hands forward to get the little pendulum out in front. And then you can pretty much see that no matter what I do, all I got to do is just rotate my body back, and that club is going to come down into the ball. And then the last piece of this is really just making a commitment level to make sure that you hit into the ground. One mistake I see a lot of beginners and just players in general make is they think, oh, I got to help the ball up in the air, and then they try to scoop the ball. That is the absolute worst thing that you can do in your chipping game, and I see so many players do it. So once you go through those three steps, again, just nice, easy swing, right down into the ground, and you can see it just pops the ball up really nicely. It's going to compress the ball to get a little bit of spin, and that's going to allow the ball to land nice and softly on the ground, and again, have a controlled rollout. If you thought this video was helpful, please like and share, and then I hope this was worth your time. Thanks.